Our broadcasting audio, right, Bob?
Well, thanks for the audio.
I'll work
Okay.
on it.
Ashley's going to sit there and continue to work on this, but we're going to go ahead and begin the meeting. Ashley, would you please call the roll, please, for the regular meeting? Here.
Here. Here. I mean.
Here. Here.
Okay. And we have anyone else out there online besides Bob? Apparently not, that we can see. Bob, we're going to continue to report your participation. But we're going to identify you as a trustee in the minutes. That's all. So instead of just listing you
Louis is on.
under public participants on Zoom, you'll be listed, but we'll just put trustee by your name as long as you continue to do that. Since your status changed.
I'm still
after
Bob.
the election.
Still Bob. Okay. I'm just Bob.
And okay, we've done the roll call. Members, other township officials who are present. Mike Cannon, our zoning director, is present. Ashley Zaruba is our zoning assistant. She's present. And we have no other township officials present in the meeting. We do have Maureen Snowden here, and Maureen is an alternate to the zoning commission. We will get a confirmation of that from the trustees at their next meeting. They did appoint her for her to start after the work of the steering committee was completed. And we just want to make sure that since that was done in 2025, that for 2026, and we're going to request that the term that they appoint you for a 4-year term rather than just 1 year. That way they don't have to keep coming back and doing it every year. I've never quite understood why they wanted to do it that way, but if they still continue to do it that way, that's their decision. Bob, you hear me talking about that.
I'm listening.
Okay, since there are no members of the
Maureen
public
has a
present,
10-year
I'm at this
term.
point going to assume we have no applications to be submitted. We have to provide that opportunity at each of our meetings. And the next item then will go to, well, let me review the procedure for the conduct of the meeting. Just in case there's some people out there online listening and they will want to potentially participate at some future time during our meeting, online or in person, the procedures that we ask that you follow is polite, wait to be recognized. If you are any members who are present, members of the public present that wish to speak, please come up to the podium so that your voice can be heard online, and also we can have a recording because all of our meetings are recorded. They are recorded on Zoom, and then those are made available to the public following our meeting. And they also become a record of our meeting, even though we do have minutes that will be produced of the meeting. All of the details then are will continue to be maintained in the video audio recording. We had no new applications to be received tonight. We'll go on to the minutes. Workshop meeting minutes from January 12th and organizational meeting minutes of January 12th. Now, the organizational meeting minutes, Ashley did not have those distributed prior to us electronically, but these minutes are uh, very much the same from 1 year to the next, pretty much.
She did send it out today.
Yeah, it gets sent out today, but it was, what I mean is, it was
Earlier.
late. It wasn't.
It was like-
Yes.
One thing I did, and I sent it in later than you usually like them, and that was.
Yeah, I got
I
it.
think
I
his name.
changed it on my end. I just think I printed it before I could get to that. But I did get the change.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we've got Bob listed on here, public present. There aren't any, but then on Zoom, we listed Bob Singer. And Bob, we didn't have trustee put by your name on this draft, but we will add that. But you're on Zoom, you're not in person. And with regard to the rest of these minutes, you take a look at these quickly. If you didn't get a chance to take a look when they were online, I did. And I, like Joni, submitted my comments back to Ashley well, maybe early afternoon, but anyway, I did get them submitted. But we didn't have this when we had the workshop minutes, which he sent to us earlier in the week. So let's do the organizational meeting minutes first. Anybody have any additional corrections?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the organizational meeting minutes as corrected.
Second.
Okay. Seconded by Brittany. Any further discussion?
Just that, Louis Greenwell's name is struck out. That's not gonna appear on the finished copy.
Yeah, it's all, I took it out. Yeah.
Okay, good. Anything else I has to point out? Okay. Hearing nothing further, then all those in favor of approval of the organizational minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, the organizational meeting minutes are approved. As corrected. Now we'll take a look at the zoning workshop meeting minutes, which we did have in advance. And Ashley picked up all of the input that she received from members of the commission. Anybody see anything that got missed?
There's one small item on page 3 that I missed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph down, second line. Significant tree stand is defined, then developers could go on a property and here it says clean cut, and I think that should be clear cut. That's the only thing I noticed after I put my
Okay.
comments in online.
All right, anything else? A motion on these minutes?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the zoning commission workshop meeting minutes from January 12th, 2026 as corrected.
I'll
All right,
second.
thank you, Louis, and seconded by Tom. Any further discussion? Hearing none, and all those in favor of approving the minutes as corrected and received this online, the corrections plus the correction that were identified here this evening, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? All right, the minutes for January 12th are approved. As corrected.
I got the video.
Thank you. Oh, we got video now. Can you see us? How about it,
Yes.
Bob? Can you see us?
I can.
All right, good. It's
You
out.
look great.
Thank you. All right, going on under new business. Mike is here this evening because as we learned at our last meeting in January, there were some issues of concern that he had that he wanted to bring to us. Quickly before we get to that, I just want to give a quick update regarding the Miller property down here at the intersection of Smothers and Harlem. As you will recall, there was an informal meeting. Tom and Joni participated in that. And I've been contacted, and Mike has as well, regarding the possibility of another informal meeting, but it has not been scheduled as yet. I wasn't available to participate in the first one. I am available for the optional dates, at least some of the optional dates that were given, and we're waiting to hear back about that. There is the possibility, though, that they may decide to delay that. Uh, but we'll see how that goes. If there is an informal meeting, then we'll give you a report following that. And once we have any kind of a formalized update regarding what it is that they are thinking about doing, at this point, it's still a conceptual plan. The biggest thing that has been already identified as a potential issue is, I don't know whether they thought they had done it or what, for whatever reason, there's a requirement for a traffic and connectivity study to be completed and submitted. And that is a requirement to be done and completed, signed off on by the county engineer's office prior to, and submitted to Mike, prior to their submitting an application. That has not been done. They keep talking about they think they're ready to submit an application, but they're not. If they haven't submitted that traffic study, that's a requirement
Would the
first.
study be with their application, or you say it has to be before?
It says before.
Gotta come to me.
It's
And what I'm gonna look at it for is to, and I'll probably, no, not probably, I'll talk with Delaware County and find out their input on. Of course, I think probably those guys are gonna give us an approval or what they think of it. And then I'm gonna talk with them if there's any kind of additional information they want, or they don't think that that's thorough enough, that we can at that time, or I can at that time, ask them to take it to somebody else to look over it. So it's got to come through me before they can do anything. So
yeah, it doesn't come to the zoning commission until it passes through
it's
muster.
through me.
And that has nothing to do with the access for the fire department.
That's traffic and connectivity.
Trips and what it's going to do, the impact of the traffic down there and the feasibility of it.
So they'll have to include, I would think, as part of the traffic, so they'll have to include the proposed number of units, right? For the increased level of
Yes,
daily trip and all that.
they're probably going to be looking at somewhere around 500 units.
Sorry, I missed it. I was reading something. Where is this again?
And the Miller property,
Corner of Smothers and Home.
Okay.
There's a total of around 63, 64 acres gross.
Do you have sewer there now? Is that the?
That's.
No, there's no
Yeah.
sewer.
Oh, okay.
They'll be the
That's the
first
first,
to get it.
the first
Got it.
place.
Okay.
It's the property right on the border, right below the trailer park, right on the border.
Mhm. Okay.
It's
So it's either gonna come up through his property or come up the other side of the road. One way or the other, it's gonna be within 15, 20 feet of it,
Okay.
depending on the road width. So
It's right there at that roundabout.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it just all goes to the east. It's not very wide.
right,
It's
very
mostly
narrow.
elongated in the easterly direction. Runs over, it doesn't, I don't know whether, does his property go all the way behind the cemetery?
Miller's property, Russ?
Miller's property.
Yeah, it goes all the way down and connects actually to Bryant's property.
That's
That's what
what
I
I
was
thought.
gonna say,
That, so it
back
does,
to
it does
Bryant.
go behind the cemetery that's on the south side.
Yeah.
Of, Fancher.
Yeah, in fact, the other outlet in there that the fire department told them they needed comes through Bryant's property up to Fancher Road.
So
that's
is he gonna
just-
be involved in this
Well,
development?
That's another question.
Okay.
That's what they've said, and I've heard that Matt's open to that, but we haven't heard anything. Those would come, in my opinion, those would come through the details when they either have another meeting with us or sit down with the development plan. But like Chief said, he wants something in concrete with Matt Bryant because he doesn't want that to get in there. Them say, yeah, they can use it. Something happened between Matt and Russ, and Matt says no more and puts a gate up. Then where we're at.
Yeah, for sure.
So we got to get more details on that.
So,
They really do need that other exit.
Oh, absolutely.
there.
yeah,
Absolutely. Can you see 500 and some cars 500 some, so that's not cars, it's units, 500 some units, and them all trying to come out that
Yeah.
one exit over there on Harlem Road, depending on where they're going. Either going left or right.
Maybe 1,000 cars.
For 500.
It
For
could be.
500, yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
It very well could be. Could be more than that.
The property here.
But it's authorized up to 12 units
And I think-
for residential purposes, up to 12 units per acre. Have you got it up there yet?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is. I can see it better down here. Yeah.
Piece plus this piece here, I think.
Plus that little section there, yeah, that's right, separated by actually the sewer line from the trailer park.
This is the little package plant, right? Right here.
There's a package plant that's there that for the trailer park.
Yeah.
And they've got an easement across his property.
Yep.
So what's happening with that too?
Well, I mean, when we were at that meeting, we mentioned that, and they said that they've been approved to use it and go over that. That'll be some more details we're gonna need when we get more into it, because that's really the kind of answers we got. Yeah, we've addressed that. The engineer even said that.
Yeah, I really think the trailer park's going to need to tap into sewers too, at the same time as they become available for Miller.
I agree with you. And I think initially, when they were talking about that sewer, those were a couple of the reasons why they said they wanted the trailer park to tap into it, and they wanted, what was that, Lake of the Woods over there off of Red Bank, I believe, because all their sewers just rolling into Hoover, I hear.
Okay.
'Cause they're
Yeah, there's
bad
Lake of the
plants, man.
Woods. That's on,
That's off Red Bank.
yeah.
Really
It's
good
one of
corner.
the township.
Yes,
Some of it is in, yeah.
because theirs is failing, so they want both of them to hook into it, but whether they force it or they're gonna offer it one way or another.
So there's a lot to be, and whether we have this informal meeting is yet to be determined, but Joni, I'm planning on participating. I asked Joni to participate, Tom. I'll keep you informed.
You know, just looking at it, and I think it was a point, I think maybe you brought that up, Tony, we were at the meeting that we talked about that buffer off of Harlem in front of that. I think it was you that brought that up, but it doesn't look to me in the rendering that that's even been addressed. And as Mike and I were talking, I don't think we would, nor should we give a divergence, because all that's going to do is give more density, which not that we're for or against the density, but the buffer's there for a reason.
I had suggested that I was not happy about the number of divergences they were seeking for any of the properties before. This going through as our first one, you know, we had all those meetings with the public saying, you know, this is what it would be and not more than this and all that stuff. And if we start granting divergences left and right, the public's not gonna believe us on anything anymore.
Especially on our most dense
Yeah,
property. That's the only property we gave that kind of density to. And like I said, I agree with you. Unless there's an excellent reason for it, I don't, you know, I wouldn't be happy to see any divergences going in there.
Yeah, well, we're a long way from getting to that point at this stage.
Yeah. Plus the other question was 3-story. There was something they were saying about 3-story apartments in there. And we said, can't have 3-story apartments. It's got to be mixed use. And we don't even know if that's been addressed because it's not, the information's not in there. So a lot of questions to be answered. But first, you know, I don't think we're going to get the final product from them until they give me the kept traffic study, and then I give them the go ahead to come to you guys.
Yeah. Well, I said, Mike and I were talking briefly, and I said to Mike, this will be handled a lot differently, or is being handled and will be handled a lot differently than anything we've ever dealt with to this point. Because Mike becomes a critical contact person, and it has to go through him. There's a lot of approvals that have to happen with him before it even gets to us.
So
Okay.
I just have a question. So is this a situation where if we don't give him what he wants in terms of development divergences, he could annex his land to the neighboring property?
Well, that certainly.
What is it? Columbus? The
Columbus.
Columbus?
yeah.
Okay.
Columbus has said they don't want to do that.
Although have we reached any formal agreement with Columbus on
No.
non-annexation?
Not
Well,
yet.
They'd have to, I mean, there's, his property is, it doesn't have any sewer on it right now. So
Right.
once the sewer runs through it, right now Columbus is saying they don't want them. because Columbus has to, if they take him, they're gonna have to offer him all their, sewer, water, police, everything else that they would offer anybody else. Right now, Russell's property doesn't have sewer. So they don't, I get it. I wouldn't want him either. Wait till it gets sewer there. And then maybe if Russ does say he wants to go with him, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I don't even think they've gone so far as to turn their parks into part of Columbus, because the parks that are there aren't really part of Columbus until they annex their own parks. You guys don't
Right,
remember
and
that?
they announced that they were going to do that.
Yeah, you're right. They have, but I haven't heard whether they did or they didn't. They said it'd take about a year. So whether they have or whether they've even started, we don't know. So the first thing that have to happen is they have to get those parks turned into Columbus. Then they'd be next to us.
They typically don't annex, Columbus won't annex unless they can provide utilities.
And they're not in a
By
position.
policy, they typically do not annex unless they can provide utilities. And because of the agreement that they're not going to serve Harlem Township, they can't, it's Delaware County is serving Harlem Township. So by agreement, they can't provide utilities. So that typically they just don't.
Well, we'll keep you up to date as we know more. Now coming back then, Mike, to you, what were the concerns or issues that you
Well,
wanted
there's
to
a couple
bring
things I
forward?
want you guys to look at and think about, and one is that's come up a couple times since in the last probably year is the ability for the legal conforming AR1 lots for those people to be allowed to split their lots if they've got enough road frontage. Right now, we've got lot frontage set at 300 foot for an AR1 lot. And in order for an AR1 lot to split into two lots, let's say split it down to 3 acres or 2 acres apiece, whatever, just anything above 2 net acres, they have to only have 235 foot of road frontage. So we've got all these lots out here that have between 235 and less than 300 that are locked right now, and they can't do anything with their properties. Because if you remember the last one we brought in, we had the lawyers come in and they were fighting it. And then Corey and everybody said, well, you really can't allow them to do that because it's not written in. There's nothing in the zoning that allows a legal non-conforming lot due to road frontage to split their lots. So there's two options, in my opinion. One, I brought up when we first had the problem, I bounced it off of Delaware County Regional Planning Commission, which was go into the non-conforming language and say, under non-conforming lots, that says any lot that has, greater than 235 feet, but less than 300, any non-conforming lot can pursue to change their zoning. So they.
Is that a minimum of 5 acres or that's not part of the?
Well, they don't need to be 5 acres. I mean, the AR1s are 5 acres. I mean, you're right. You're right. It doesn't even need to be an AR1 lot. It could be an FR1 lot that's under 5 acres. That's coded as FR, but it's big enough to be split into 2 net acres, two lots of 2 net acres. So we can either put the language in the non-conforming, which I wrote that language and I sent it to regional planning, and Brad said, yeah, looks good to me. I think that would fly. And I think I even sent it to you guys at one time. And then Corey and Ollie both came back and had some questions saying it looked like favoritism. I don't know how. But yeah, I don't know how. And they couldn't really explain it to me because I asked them, I said, what do you mean? And they ran through this whole thing and it was different than what I was trying to say. So that's why I bounced it off of Brad, and Brad said, looks like that would work to me.
So the reason for the 235 feet is that it's 175 foot of road frontage plus 60 feet of
Or the
Flag
common
a flag
access
frontage.
a flagpole. Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
flag lot.
That's why 235 is the minimum that we should have. And there have been other lots in the township that had less than that and been split before that time last year. And the beauty of that is it turns it into 2 conforming legal lots.
And
Which
that
is
was
what we want.
always the rationale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then they
Previously.
told us we couldn't do that.
Specifically, that was the rationale for doing it.
Yes, but they
And-
said we couldn't do that because there was no legal way to get there. So we were told.
But
you
we
can't
were
get there
advised
from
by
here.
legal counsel in Delaware County that we should do that
At one
Yeah.
point,
at one
at
point.
one point, and then they changed.
Just
things.
in the past.
Now with Vince in there, our new prosecutor, I could probably send that language to him and see what he thought of that. Maybe we might be able to get another different viewpoint of it. But, you know, here's my thinking. We don't have, well, I guess we kind of do, but we don't have a lawyer picking apart every other point of our resolution. We don't. I mean, it's too big. We've never had it. That would cost us an unimaginable amount of money. So, I mean, if it's something that regional planning saying looks good, something that you guys like, something the trustees are amicable to, I don't know. I mean, we've got Delaware County's blessing on it, and who knows, I may get Vince's blessing on it. But
What's your other option?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask the same thing.
the only other option I could see to help them out with that is to just change our required road frontage for an AR1 lot to be 235 feet. I mean, we have over, and that, this is just it was just a quick count that I did online on Delaware County website. At least 73, I think was the number I came up with last year, 73 lots in the township that are like that. And here's my point of it when I was looking at it. Number one, you know, the residents, when they bought these lots back in the day before we put it in there, you know, whether they were or they weren't, it's unfair that we're allowing everybody else, if you want to talk about, you know, showing favoritism or being unfair, that we're allowing everybody else to come in and they have 300 foot of road frontage and they can split those lots. Yet we've got people with 5 acres that have got plenty of lot frontage to do it, but can't, just because now they're illegal non-conforming lots because the zoning was put in and said you had to have at least 300 feet. And then the second option in there, which what we're looking for in the township, is we don't want the massive density. We don't. Would I rather have somebody come in and say, there's 5 properties there amounting to 25 acres. And there's some older houses on there that maybe aren't as expensive, but there's only 5 of those houses on those 5 lots. And could I buy those 5 lots up, take it into you know, one of the overlays and turn that into, you know, 50, depending on where, it could be upwards of 75. And I know it's not going to come up to 75, maybe in the 70s of houses. Would I rather have 74 houses in there? Or would I rather allow these people that are looking at this to maybe sell that other lot off, split it into two lots, and somebody go back there and build a $700,000 house? So now we've got 5 lots with 10 nice houses on them, as opposed to 25 acres with 75 houses on them. If you're talking about density, which would we rather have in a township? I'm not saying either is a terrible thing. I'm not down talking any of it. But if you're talking about my preference, being a resident of the township, I'd rather have the 10 houses as opposed to the 75.
And going back to the question of favoritism, if we're dealing with, you're saying a minimum of 73 lots, and I assume these are spread out throughout the township, or they clustered?
There's a lot of them on that house we just turned down. It's Green Cook. A lot of them on Green Cook. There's probably about 8 in a row on Green Cook.
So I mean, personally, I see it difficult to make the point that we're favoring that many people. This is part of the zoning resolution. We're in a way correcting something that happened back in maybe 1988 when
Yes.
when the road frontage was first established with the new zoning resolution. And it's finally come to a point where it's having an impact on more than just one resident.
It is, and the biggest reason the impact hits home with me is because in a lot of cases, it's some of our older residents that are splitting them off, and they just want to put their kid behind them to take care of them. I can't think of a better reason to do something like that.
That's been the case in a lot of the people who've come to us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it has to do with fair or unfair, or, you know, the resident itself. I think it really has to do with being able to make these legally conforming lots. I mean, that's an important
Mhm.
thing that we're responsible for doing. So,
And they're legal, they're non-conforming now,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
They're non-conforming, but they're legal non-conforming.
Right.
We want legally conforming lots.
Exactly.
Would be better.
Ideally, we want everything.
Ideally, yes.
And
yeah,
that was the rationale previously used for approving them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's
We're gonna
now
need them.
no longer an acceptable rationale to our current assistant prosecutor.
Or previous, we don't know about Vince yet, right?
We don't know about this yet.
Well,
I mean, if we
yeah,
agree on this language among ourselves, at least provisionally, and then you take that to Vince and get his opinion on it. Or the reverse, you take it to him and come back next month and say, he's okay with this. Right,
Mike's already drafted the language.
right, so do we want to give him the blessing on this? Or do we want to say
Yeah.
get Vince's?
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. Okay.
I don't think so.
I want to get Vince's blessing first, or do we want to kind of?
It's not a difficult call for me to call Vince and, whatever way you guys want to go with it. Do you have that there that I sent you that one time? There you go.
I think this went out to everybody, didn't it?
No,
No?
I don't call.
Well, I hadn't opened it up to the whole zoning commission
Oh,
because
sorry.
I got shot down. Well, no, it wasn't. I was trying to keep it from them.
What would be helpful to me, several years ago, I did this. I don't know if you still have the ability to do it or anybody has the ability. But you can download all the parcels in the township off the auditor's website into an Excel spreadsheet. And then you can sort it by frontage, you can sort it by acreage, and so you will actually see how many parcels are there and the zoning, how many AR parcels of 5 acres or less have less than 300 acres, 300 feet.
300 foot of
300
frontage.
feet of frontage. So you found 73, there might be 173.
Yeah, and they're
200, I mean, if you did up, and there's only, I don't know, there aren't that many out of 2,000 parcels or whatever in the township, so.
yeah.
Oh, why can't you ask Scott Sanders to do that for you?
Well,
Oh.
funny thing, I asked Delaware County to do it, and it was back when Valerie was here. Valerie was working with them, and they gave me a file that wasn't even close, had nothing, showed like 3. That's why I went in and counted them myself.
What?
For whatever reason, maybe she didn't explain it right. Maybe they thought they had it right. I don't know, but
Oh, okay.
I was trying to get the information together. And then when they finally gave it to me, I said, "No, it's going to take me an hour or so to do this by hand. I just wanted to make sure we had more than a handful of them, which we did." So
Well,
I'm
after
sure we can get
listening to Tom describe the process, just seemed like something that regional planning should be able to do.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it should be because they have all the road frontages. I
Yeah.
mean, that information's got to be out there somewhere.
It's on the auditor's website.
Exactly.
So if Delaware Regional Planning won't do it for you, talk to me and I'll go back in and see if I can download the file. I know there was you couldn't take a column of information and add it up because it wasn't numerical, and you had to convert the whole column to figured out how to do it, and it just worked fine. But there may be some little twists like that, but it's a spreadsheet. You can sort it, you can order it in whatever sequence you want and come up with exactly how many and where they are, even on a map, how many in each quadrant or where. So you can say this affects people all over the township. X number of households would be affected by this, probably less than when we did the zoning for the commercial districts and the old village districts. And we're just trying to make an existing problem go away for hundreds of residents.
The only thing that I can think of that Corey may have had in mind when he talks about favoritism, meaning that we wouldn't be showing favoritism in my mind, but possibly he's thinking that we'd be showing favoritism to the lots that are already like that, and somebody else coming in buying property that they've got 1,000 foot of frontage and they want to split it up instead of having 2 or 3, they want to have 5 or 4. In other words, we're requiring them to stick to the 300 feet in order to get FR1, whereas these folks can do it with 235 feet. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, and even that isn't an issue because depending on the amount of road frontage they have, and there's not a whole lot of property that's going to have that kind of road frontage, in order to split more than 2 ways, and I know you guys know this, but you can't have 2 flag lots back to back, right?
Right.
And you have to have a conforming lot between those flag lots.
You have to, right.
So that
Can't
really
have back to
spaces
back.
us out. So there's not a lot. We've got a lot of deep properties. There's a few that's got a lot of road frontage on them, but most of them are deeper.
Oh, yeah. At
properties.
one time, before that went into effect, there were I forget exactly where it was. Was it over there on, I think it was way over there on the, further to the east. Was that on was that where it was?
Think that-
Anyway, there were like 8 flag lots, boom, 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 boom. The driveways were right next to each other.
Robbins,
Yeah.
yep.
And that's then brought about the situation that you just described, that we have that
The
as a
department
requirement.
asked us to do that.
Yeah, because it
'Cause
became,
it was
it became a
confusing for them.
problem.
Oh, yeah.
Some on Duncan Run too.
So, I'm not saying that that's the rationale that would hold up, but that could be, if Corey has a conversation, before you get there with Vince, or has already had it, that might be the rationale that they would try to use. I don't know whether it would hold up or not as a legal argument. Because I thought that it would be similar to what we've already done, in the sense of we created that for the, when we changed our the zoning for, I forget now what the category was, but we've got a residential zoning that only applies to specific lots besides Harlem and Center Village. We did it for, this property down here uh, off of, Red Bank, off of Gorsuch, where the lots are smaller than, they were smaller than 2 acres.
Yeah.
And we created a situation there so that we made them conforming as opposed to them remaining in the category of being non-conforming. And we said it applies only to these lots, and we listed the area. Why can't we do the same thing with this?
I think you could, but like Tom said, the start to that would be
I mean, let's,
having
But you have to have a
a list.
All the parcels, yeah.
Yeah,
And we're talking possibly about over 100 rather than what
Could
there
be.
were just. a
Yeah,
handful
well,
that
it
we
might
had.
came up with 73, but if
Yeah.
there's another way to do the count and get it more accurate, that would be
it's a
helpful.
matter of which way you want to go. I mean,
but
that language,
especially if we're going to list them out as
well, you'd have
these
to have.
particular lots, then we have to be careful about making sure that we get them all.
Exactly. Because then that would be favoritism if we didn't get them all.
Somebody would come back and say,
Yeah.
Well, I mean.
Well,
somebody
if we
could say
missed
it's
one, then we
favoritism
fix
if
it.
you have this whole group too.
Yeah.
And
But
so I'm not convinced that that would not also be favoritism in some people's views.
You're right. They could look, depending on how you want to look at it, doing something special for that.
Yeah.
but we've done it. I don't mean with this particular
Yeah.
topic, but we've
We've
created that kind
We've-
of,
done it until somebody argues against it
yeah,
at some point.
and no one has as yet. Yeah, but doesn't mean they couldn't tomorrow challenge us.
so
They
explain
could.
this to me. If you have a parcel that's slightly less than 5 acres, with 235 feet of road frontage, it's already zoned FR, you could split that lot.
Yep.
So it really doesn't apply to any, it only applies to parcels that are currently zoned AR,
Yes.
that under this rezoning they wouldn't automatically become FR unless we decide that they should be. But I mean, maybe, does that make sense?
Well, I don't think you could automatically change them FR if they're already over 5 acres. That's a whole other question.
I mean, you can have an FR that's more than 5 acres.
Yes, well, yes, theoretically you could if you came in and changed it. I
Yeah,
don't
but
think.
we wouldn't want to, because I think if we change that, then the auditor will say you have 2 building lots on this parcel. We're gonna assess it for 2 building lots, not 1, and their taxes will go up. So we don't want to do that automatically. We want somebody who comes to us and says, I have 5 acres, but I don't have enough frontage. I want to rezone to FR. We say you can do that, but this is the outcome. Your taxes are gonna go up, even if you don't build on it.
Would they do that? I don't know that they would automatically do that if they just had say you got a 10-acre parcel and you had it all FR1, because it's still only one piece. There's no split in there yet.
You split it. I don't think the
I don't
taxes.
think they would tax it as 2 separate lots because
They tax it though on the value of the property, and FR1 zoning is more valuable than AR1 zoning. In terms of sale.
really, Why is that?
That's just the way the auditor views it. And you come, in terms of appraising, because you could split it, not that you're necessarily going to. But if it's AR1, you can't. If it is FR1, you could. So it makes it more valuable.
So it means we can still do what we're talking about, but not automatically convert those. to
Yeah, all
FR.
that's doing is letting them come and have the same opportunity
yeah, it
that
would have to
everybody
be-
else has.
It would have to be at their option,
Yeah. Yeah,
not that we would automatically do it.
would not automatically do it.
And this
No.
would go through the zoning commission or the BZA.
What, the language?
If they're rezoning
If it's a
to
new zoning type,
FR1.
If they're rezoning, it still comes to you guys. Yeah, because it's a rezone.
it'd be an AR1 plus.
Yeah, that would be a request for a rezone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it'd be a new zoning type, right? I mean, AR 1.5. Something special that allows them.
0.5.
Yeah, that only allows parcels
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
specific zoning to have.
I
less
wish I
trouble.
understood why the current lawyer changed his mind versus what the previous attorneys had been advising us for years until we got Corey. Something must have changed.
Well, just a new way of thinking. They all think a little bit differently.
Well, anyway, if you can do that with, take that, see what kind of feedback you can get from, regarding that as an option. Because I don't know that you could get a lot of support for your second option where we would make it 235 for everybody. That decision was made, I don't know exactly when, but, the 500 feet, I'm sorry, the 300 feet was identified for the 5 acres. And it hasn't, I think people want to keep it that way. And you already heard Joni say that she wouldn't be in favor of it.
There may be issues with the county engineer that he wants a certain separation between driveways, especially on county roads. And that may have an impact on the frontage.
Well, I can find out about that.
Well, and come to think of it, we have to somewhat be careful with this too, because maybe we create a problem the other way. If they give the 235 feet. All right, so you've got it's one property owner, and they do the 60 feet on one side, and then they got their 175 foot of frontage. The lot, they can't have another one, they can't have another 60 foot easement over here, but they could on the other side.
Yeah, it's gonna depend on it, and we've had that happen on regular lots before where somebody wants to do that and they're already stuck because of that. So yeah, you're right, they can't.
Can't put the two next to each other, but you could put it on the opposite side.
Yeah.
But I guess we wouldn't create the problem by allowing for that.
No. Not to mention, I don't think it would matter about the amount of curb cuts we have because, I mean, if they were legal FR properties, they'd have that many curb cuts.
Yeah.
I don't know that would be a valid argument that they'd have there, but
Well, do you want to check that out?
I do. I want to bounce it off you guys first.
Is everyone here on the commission in favor of that as well? That would be an option for us? We would not have objections to it, but we'd have to make a change in the zoning resolution.
Yes.
To accommodate it. Okay. Other.
Yes, I do. I have one more. I have two more, but we'll see. But run across this a few times and there's a couple different ways you guys can approach this. We've got barns and we have an accessory buildings. Accessory buildings, the max height's 35 feet. But in the wording in the resolution, it says barns, there's no restriction on because it's a barn. And I know it's because we assume barn is agricultural. But
And it could have a silo that's considerably taller.
yes, but we had
Is a silo a barn?
we had a residential
vegetable.
property come in and they were moving a barn off of somewhere and putting it on their AR1 property over here. And it was over 35 feet. but it was a barn, and it's clearly a barn. He moved it. He paid to move it and then stuck it over there, and it was taller than 35 feet. And I got around it by saying it is a barn. Talking with Corey and everybody, say, yep, it's a barn, and your wording doesn't say. Not that I'm saying we want to change it, but you may want to look at if that is what we're looking to do, go in there and say barn means used for agricultural purposes, and it doesn't say that. Or, I mean, really, I don't know if you want to get this far into the weeds on it. You've got AR1, you got FR1. It's just like we have this house that they built over here off of Miller Paul Road, north of Center Village, way back in the back. It's like an 8,000 square foot house on 20 some acres. You can't even see it. And I had to keep him, I'd make him change his pitch of his roof because it was higher than 35 feet. But maybe look at something, whereas if it's an AR1 property, if you want to maybe let the height go a little bit higher, because a lot of those lots would like a little bit higher house because he wanted a third floor in it where he had a little office. Another one wanted one down here, and it was just, he liked that real steep pitch on his house, and we had to shut that down. Don't know if you want to, I have no opinion on this either way. But for FR1 properties, I say, yeah, keep it at 35 feet because FR1s are 2 acres. But 1 or 2 feet or maybe 5 more foot in an AR1, you're not even gonna be able to tell it driving by. I don't know what the purpose was. I know what the purpose of keeping the heights down, because we don't want skyscrapers out here in Orange Township, but might be something to think about because we're getting more and more people out here asking for a higher height on their pitches. And like I said, we got barns, and I have no problem with a barn on an AR1 lot that's clear out in the middle of nowhere. It's 38 feet.
So the barn that they moved here, are they using it as a barn? Or are they transforming it into a house or something?
Don't know. He
Yes.
was saying he was gonna keep it, it wasn't gonna be agriculture, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
But it was technically a barn.
He's not hanging tobacco in it.
No. Corey said you don't want to fight that because now you're just fighting. It says barns right there, Mike. There's no restriction on a barn.
And the property is not zoned CAUV. So the property itself is not being used for farming
No.
purposes. It doesn't have any agricultural exemption on property tax. I guess I would start with it, whatever the current definition we have in Article 4 on barns. What does it say?
Do we define barn? I'm not even sure.
We say we don't define a barn as to what it is. And all we would need to add in there is barn would need to be for agricultural. It doesn't say it.
So you're saying there is no.
Because it was when I turned him down, it was actually the lawyer that called me. And it was explained it to me, and then I got with Art.
Well, here's another one potentially out there. It's that
Okay.
somebody has a barn. Currently, it's a barn. Then they decide they're going to convert it into a house.
Yeah.
And it's over 35 feet.
Well, but if they.
What happens to that situation? That's another kind of a problem. That could happen. It's not, you haven't run into it yet.
No, but I guess theoretically, we can, if we're saying it's gotta be a barn, it's gotta be agriculture.
Yeah, you can't convert it.
You can't.
It's an
convert it
existing
to
structure.
Over 35 feet unless they want to take the height down.
Right.
So we'd have a way on that. Not
We need
concerned.
to adjust our definition of a barn or
Yeah,
add a
exactly.
definition.
Yeah,
of a
we don't
barn.
have a definition.
Just add to
add.
the definition of,
We don't have a definition of a barn, but we can add
Make one.
barn.
yes.
We could
There. Barn being, yeah,
create a definition.
yeah, exactly.
Who wants to do that?
So
Google barn definition. That'd be a good place to start.
Check.
is it going to be a barn for agriculture purposes only, or barn is a barn, no matter what you're using it?
No,
It's an accessory building.
So, yeah, somebody comes in with a commercial activity, they decide they're gonna have a barn, they build a new barn.
yeah, like Lynn's barn. But that's accessory building if it's commercial, it's a commercial building. It's not a barn unless it's used for agriculture. And I think
If
that
that
would,
becomes part of
that
the
would
definition
include-
for barn.
yeah, I think that would include,
definitely.
storing your tractor in there, combines or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah,
What?
The definition of barn is for agricultural use.
Anything that's tied to agriculture, that's,
So you got a big old combine that needs a bigger
It's the
Yeah,
problem
right.
one though, that can always be resolved by going to the
And it's part of the
BZA.
ISO. This is a
Current.
current ORC
Can't they get a variance approved
citation.
For what? Which
For
one?
height.
for height?
They can,
Or
but
they could go to the BZA and request a variance for height.
but the BZA is gonna be locked down to where they're not gonna approve that. Because number one, I mean, if you look at the 5 reasons that they should apply a variance, first one says, I mean, there's, and I don't know them by heart, but is it self-inflicted? Is there any other way around it? And any one of those 5 questions, if you say yes to, throws out the reason they can give a variance. So their hands are really tied as to what they can legally, because we've had situations where we thought it would work, but per those questions there, and Corey, and not only Corey, but I think they might have talked to Pete about it, said, I would not do that. You'll set a precedence, and because you from those 5 questions,
Are those new questions?
No, they're the
No.
old ones.
Interesting.
same ones that have been there for forever. So
Well, if
I'm
you,
pretty sure there was a house in the township that got approval to be taller because they wanted taller ceiling.
really,
I'm pretty sure. Like,
because they want
I-
taller ceilings. Where?
I'll look it up. Yeah.
it might have been something that happened also before Mike got
I'll
here.
tell you something that.
Oh, it was, yes, definitely was, yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know in terms of what kind of a priority that would be. We've got other things that may be higher priority for us to deal with.
Just stuff you want to think about. I mean, there's. a
Now,
few-
on the non-conforming lots, that one is I think one that's going to keep coming up.
Yes, it is. And I've got some people out there that are waiting and they're thinking about other options. And I said, just hold off till I try to talk with the zoning commission, see if we can't get this settled a different way.
Yeah, in fact, I'm wondering, and maybe you or maybe know or not, I don't know, but I can't tell you the name of the property owner. But remember the property owner that was next door that we had the issue with?
Next to Coppola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were going to go to the BZA to get it approved at the BZA and then come back. Whatever happened to that?
Corey said, don't let them go to the BZA. Because the BZA it was not gonna work. They legally would not, the BZA would legally not be able to do that, and if they approved it, they would have got sued too. And we'd lose it either way.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't realize that came back from Corey that way. Because it was his idea in the first place.
It was, and then it started getting to the point where things were gonna happen, lawyers were starting to show up, and then I called called Corey back and talked to him about it in depth. And he talked to some other people, I'm assuming maybe his superior, I don't know, but they came back and said, you know what? Don't let them do it. Not that I stopped them.
Okay.
I just
I
gave
got
them the
you.
information.
So there, as of right now, there is no other option.
There's
for
not.
these folks to do.
Exactly. It's one of those, you can't get there from here. Which doesn't make any sense.
Unless they come back here. They could come back here and ask for a zoning change.
But we've been told we can.
No, we can't give them a zoning change. We've been told we can't.
Wait, this is the one that's right across from Apache.
No, no, no.
No,
Oh, no,
This is a different.
it's a different.
We can't. If it's a 5-acre lot,
I know which one you're talking about. Okay.
yeah, they don't have enough frontage for us to,
Yeah,
it's not a legal lot, so we can't change it.
You can't rezone it so that they can.
Because it's not a legal lot.
It's the
You
issue.
should make it legal.
But the thing was, in the past, we said the rationale was, well, we can make it legal by approving it.
Which always made sense to me.
It makes all sense in the world.
It does make
So this
sense.
language that we're talking about here would help that.
I
situation.
think that would fix it.
Yeah, that would fix it. That would allow them to pursue the zoning that they want
Yes.
and then split that lot, which is what they want to do.
Well, if that turns out that's an option for us to move forward with, then we'll have to try to find out where all those lots are. And then move that forward that way.
And would this encourage somebody to create non-conforming lots?
You can't create a non-conforming
No,
lot.
you can't.
Okay, you're right. So it's not like somebody can say, I'm gonna zone this 5 acres AR, but it's only gonna be 200 feet wide or 230
Can't
feet.
do it. You can't create a lot that's got less than 300 nowadays. This is just, all those lots were there before, what was it?
They actually
88?
they already exist.
Yeah. Only thing
Can't
we're
create
doing
any
with this
new
zoning
ones.
is fixing the non-conforming. If they decide to do something with their property, nothing, if they do nothing with it, it doesn't do anything. But if they fix it and split it down, they'll turn into legal conforming lots.
Yeah.
So you're gonna take the lead and try to get a list.
Yep. Well, do we need a list? Are we gonna go with that wording?
If we go with the wording, we don't need a list.
We don't have to do anything except for I've got to get approval through, I know Brad already said it was cool. If I talk with the new prosecutor and he seems pretty reasonable. I talked to him earlier this week, so I think we ought to go with that.
If they tell us that the wording is good, then we would just adopt that new language in our ordinance and.
Well, I'm not sure if we don't have the list, can the new one then be created under this language? Getting back to what Tom was asking.
No, we don't need a list. Because all we're gonna do is change the wording on that. So anybody that has a lot out there that falls under that category can come to you guys for a rezone.
But that would have to be an existing lot
Yeah.
as of a certain date.
Yes,
No,
but that's
no
all-
new lots can be created that are non-conforming.
Exactly. There were
Any
no
lot
new,
that's out there.
no new lots like that were created since 88. So that's all we're dealing with is pre-88 lots or whatever that is 88, 89. I'm not sure quite which one.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're not creating any language that would
Nothing new can
allow
be created like.
new lots to be
Yeah.
created.
Because the only way lots can be created is if they come back, they go through their whole process, and then the gatekeeper comes back. And I look at it and say, does it have 300 foot of road frontage? Does it have all this stuff? And if it doesn't, it gets turned down. So I guess theoretically, if the wrong person was sitting at that gate, it could happen if they approve it, but
And I can see a lot of 5.000 acre lots out there, which ignored the net acreage requirement at the time. And they were post 1988 and they were still approved. So I'm not sure exactly what the boundaries of what we're considering is. You can say, you can't build any more like that. You can't create any more like that. So it's what is already out there.
Well, the thing is, what you're saying though, potentially the engineer's office would approve the lot if it's got 5 acres in it. They don't look at frontage. They don't care how much frontage is.
It's true.
But somebody comes in with a plot, with the surveyor's plan that shows that it's 5 acres. They don't care how much frontage it has. It may only have 175 feet of frontage.
you mean Delaware County? If you're talking about if they're creating a new lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, Delaware doesn't. Well, I mean, they try to look at our zoning, but that's why the final approval on that comes back to me. And then any lot that wants to be created that's new, then I sit down and make sure it has road frontage, the size, everything like that before I approve it. They don't approve anything without my signature on it. So there's nobody based on, and I go by the book. So based on that, it's not happening.
So none of those have been created that were 5 acres, but didn't meet the minimum requirement in terms of frontage since you've been in.
Definitely since I've been here, but I'm saying it shouldn't have been since 1988 because that's when it was.
Yeah, that's when it went
changed.
into effect. But like I said, the county engineer's office wasn't paying any attention to
Oh,
it.
well, if that's the case, then you're right. But now, since I've been here, any new lot that's been changed goes through me. And that's part of Delaware County's procedure.
Oh,
They send it to me.
okay.
When they're through with it,
No, I don't think
send
so.
it to me.
Yeah, that's how we had so many situations where we weren't getting the,
Sending it to the zoning director or
Yeah.
inspector or whatever we had then. They just
Well, then
did it themselves.
maybe that's why we have 77 of those.
Yeah.
it
But
probably is.
Everyone goes through me.
Going back that far though, but what you were talking about are the lots created prior to 1988. I just want to make sure we're not creating any possibility of that continuing forward.
Well,
We have to be careful with that wording.
you're right. And you're right. And that could, I mean, I guess that could have been if people were approving them before. And I guess, yeah, you're right. I guess somebody could look at it and I guess I could approve something that's smaller than that, but I wouldn't, but
Yeah.
somebody in my seat could have, I guess.
If the township is doing its job correctly, following the rules, then we shouldn't have any more of this problem.
Yeah.
Well, as long as the process is there in place to make sure,
Right.
well,
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, it depends upon the individuals in the offices, of course, but as long as it's in wording, in writing, that is the
Yeah.
requirement. That's the important part.
And if he did approve it, the zoning change would still, we'd still have to approve the zoning change, right?
No, it's not a zoning change. I'm approving. I'm signing off on their lot split. The lot split goes through Delaware County. But that's why that's sent back to us, because it is sent back specifically to the township to make sure that that lot hits all requirements for an AR1. So yes, you're right. It all goes back to, if you're doing your job, it's pretty simple. You have that book telling you what it needs to be. As long as it's got that, you sign it off. If it doesn't, it goes back.
And we don't want, it should be that the lot doesn't get created until they have the zoning approved, but it doesn't happen that way necessarily, right?
Does now, apparently.
Well, depends. If the people are looking at it, I mean, it doesn't get approved till it sees me. So, but yeah, they can go up and work with the surveyor and bounce it off Delaware County. And a lot of them do have, the plan for how they want to split that off. And smartly, a lot of our residents, before they even pay to go up there, bring it to me and say, in fact, a lot of them come to me and say, can I do this? And I look at it with them, but they bring it to me and say, does this fit? Well, before I go spending all that money up at Delaware County, can I even split this lot? And then we sit down there looking at it, and I make sure it has everything it needs to have. And if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I've had to turn down a few of them on that. And a few of them, obviously, because of what we're talking about now. They say, yeah, everything fits, but you can't get there from here. I can't allow you to go to the zoning commission because our resolution doesn't let you.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens once you go back to the prosecutor's office on that one. Okay. Anything else, Mike?
Just one thing I want to bounce off here. This isn't anything immediate. Our new sign language, got a sign going up on the new Center Village Pizza down here. But according to our resolution, you can only have one sign. And you can't have signs hanging out from the building, right? The overhang signs like he had down there before that said Fracasso's on it. So I told him he had to take that down. But the problem you have with that is he's right there on the corner of Center Village and Harlem. And so he'd be able to put a sign on one side of that building. And then, so if he put it on the west side of his building, the people coming from the south would not even see, they wouldn't be able to see a sign. So I think we need to allow, under certain circumstances, which is the way I read it, which I used my own opinion on that, and had applied it and said, yes, and I think bounced off trustees too. They could have two signs, one on each, this side and one on that side, so that everybody could see it. I don't know if that's
So under
anything
the
we
new
want-
language that we have for N22 signs and still labeled signs and billboards here, but
Yeah, it says one per building. Or one per,
oh, this is the old one here. It's not the new one that I have in my book. I guess must not have printed the
So
new.
we kind of want to make that one per building space, not more than two.
I think we want to leave it like it is, but just put in there based on the discretion. I mean, and you guys really have kind of said it in there that I can use my own discretion on it. But maybe if you guys wanted to define that a little more so that, because I don't want to go out there and start willy-nilly having people throw signs up on it, but there's not that many instances of it. He's real close to the road. He's on top of it. I mean, if it was 50 feet back off the road and people pulled up to that intersection, they'd see that sign. But unfortunately, that building is absolutely on the property line. And he's saying, even when he had his temporary sign, I had to kind of go offline there. He goes, can I put a temporary sign out there? I said, you cannot. That's right away. You aren't allowed to do that. You can't do anything like that. So I had to allow him to put a temporary sign out there that we do not allow as far as the makeup of the temporary sign. But I didn't want to tell him, you got to make a real sign up that's going to cost you a lot of money to throw up there temporarily before you get your real sign that you got to throw up permanently. So I said, for, temporary, put that sign up there, get that sign made, get those off that building. So just something to think about. I'm handling it. It's not a problem. I don't have any problem doing it. but
Yeah,
it's something we
it's the language that we have now allows you the flexibility to do that.
Well,
I mean, I don't bring it up, I don't have it up
It's
here,
kind
and I
of
don't have
ambiguous.
I don't have a hard copy.
Ambiguity
Yeah.
favors the defendant.
Beg for forgiveness.
Yeah, what article is that?
That's it.
We just recently changed that.
We did, but we can't catch everything.
Big pardon?
After a lot of thought and.
Oh, yeah.
And discussion.
Yeah.
But I think it's, in this case, it's obvious.
It's a different situation.
Right.
It's
Got
completely
two road
Book, I don't
frontages
have the printed.
and only one sign.
Yeah, two road frontages, only one sign, and his property is right on the property line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that, you're not gonna get, I don't think we have any other instance like that in the township, but
Not yet.
not yet. We do have those people, and you guys know, they're looking for that brewery over there, which they only need one sign because they're not on the corner, but
But
Yeah.
the building that's across from Centerville Market might be sold, might be turned into.
would be one
commercial.
of those properties that would have an issue.
And again, it would be too close to the road
Yep.
and two faces on two different streets.
Everybody I've talked to about that building says it's a tear down.
Yeah,
But even if they put up something else. they'll have
So
the
it
same
doesn't necessarily have to go back up at that exact location.
yeah, it's a tear down, number one. Number two, because we've had people look at it wanting to put a little breakfast place there. They have no parking
Right.
because of the right of way. I mean, it's just, and guys call and say, well, could we get 5 cars? I doubt it, unless you park them on top of each other. There's just no way to do it. It is, it's tear down. They need that and the property behind it or the property beside it if they're really gonna do something. So,
Well, I don't,
Park down by the park.
yeah,
yeah.
park and walk.
People need to walk more. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I just want to see if they've got this, we got this right one in here now. Yeah. The sign regulation was revised August 2025.
Yeah, we just got through talking about it.
Yeah. So the language in here specifically says somewhere is one
It says one
sign.
sign. And Mike, that's gonna be fine for 99.5% of everything. in
that.
that. I probably shouldn't even brought it up. But in case somebody read it and says, why does that pizza place have 2 signs on it? I want you guys to know.
Why do I feel like, are you sure it doesn't say if you have two frontages, you can have two signs? I thought we changed it to allow one sign per frontage. But maybe I'm misremembering. Now I'm
just-
trying to
I
find
just
it and
said
I'm like, oh,
I've got it
Yeah.
up here.
Said it, but I don't-
Wall signs identified industrial, commercial, or office uses.
now I'm trying, I mean, it's kind of, this is a long
It
article.
says
Take a
all
while.
signs, it says maximum number of signs permitted per primary building, 1.
Oh, you know what
That's
I'm
what
looking
he's
at?
referring
I was looking at real estate signs.
Ah,
We allowed one per road frontage.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew it was somewhere.
Well, we do have that in there.
It's
Yeah,
not
I
an
thought
emergency.
you were, I'm sure that you were right. I just wanted, because I didn't have it in print, but I looked it up here, got it up online. It says specifically, it does say that 1.
And that will suffice
to
for the
exceed-
majority of everything in the township.
Yeah.
I sat in here and did it with you.
And it says 1 not to exceed 32 square feet. So. Maybe we should say 2s if it's not to exceed 16 feet.
Well, the signs he's got going up aren't very big. It's 42 inches around and the other one's 52 inches around, so they're not big signs.
I don't have a problem with what you're suggesting and whether we have to change that in the future.
I don't think we do. I just want you to be aware of it. If somebody walks up to you, Mike, and stranger things have happened and said, I was reading your signs and it says you're allowed to have 1. Why does Center Village have 2?
So you said there's language in there about, that gives you discretion?
There is language that gives me discretion.
If, as long as that's in there, I'd say we just,
Oh,
Maybe not.
yeah, I remember we did have discussion about that.
You did. You left in there.
Primarily that discussion focused on using a fence.
Well,
signs on a fence.
Signs on fence. I remember a lot of discussion about that. Yeah, but
but there is wiggle room and ultimately, you know, I can use my discretion on things. I mean, per the law, but I don't want to get too far outside the lines. In fact, I don't even want to get outside the lines ever because it's makes your job as far as my job makes it more difficult. Because when the people come in, they start asking me questions, the first thing I tell them is this book says it. If it says it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And you got to go somewhere else. That way the conversation's easy. You know, I'm not sitting there bargaining with them.
Well, we didn't think about at the time also is though a property, a building that's on a corner like that,
Correct.
it would make sense to have one on
Yeah, and that,
side facing the street.
yes, and so close to the road that you can't see those two sides of the buildings from one particular spot. You wouldn't be able to read both the signs from one spot. If the
Yeah.
building was 25 feet back, you could.
So if it was a piece of vacant property and we were allowing a building to go in, it wouldn't end up with those
Problems.
characteristics that would.
Exactly.
allow us to do it. So for
At
all
this
new
point, we're not
construction,
looking to make any kind of a change.
that permit or that sign regulation fits.
Okay.
Perfect.
For all new.
Yeah.
For existing buildings,
Yeah.
you might have.
That's an excellent point. That may be the only building that would ever be a problem with it. So let's just forget it. We'll just go forward.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cross that bridge.
Okay. How about going forward then with the rest of the agenda that's listed here, definition of significant tree stands? Louis was working on that, but he doesn't have anything in writing yet, but he's going to have some ideas to share with us, and then will you be able to bring that next week, something in writing?
Yeah, I can bring something right next week.
Definition for significant tree stand.
But prior to that, what I wanted to talk about, I've got a spreadsheet that I'm putting up on screen. I don't know if anybody's gonna be able to see it yet. When I kind of I talked through it with myself for a while and was thinking about the conversation that we had about trying to preserve the tree stand, no matter what the definition is. Once we assume we have a definition, okay, now we have a definition of what we want to protect. How would we go about doing that? And so I started thinking about the idea of a credit, like a tree preservation credit that would be applied for density. So, and it would be like if you have my demonstration lot here was a 50-acre lot with let's see, I think I had five acres of undevelopable property. So that takes it to 45 net acres, right? It's easy math. Start with 50 acres, subtract out 5 acres because of stuff, not trees, but just other stuff. And then that leaves 45 acres. Then the zoning density for this lot this hypothetical lot is 3 units per acre. Actual acres to be developed is 45 acres. So that's 3 units per 45. So that's 135 total units, 3 units per acre. Okay. With the tree preservation credit, let's say that within that 50 acres, there's a 3-acre tree stand that we find desirable. Okay, so they start with 50. It's the same 50 lots. They've got 3 acres within that 50 lot that's desirable that we want them to keep. You still have to take out the 5 acres of undevelopable because it's steep slopes or it's marshy or it's wetland or whatever. So it's still the same 5 acres of steep slopes.
We're saying there was in this area, there's only a 10% set aside that for open space.
I didn't put any, the open
No, it's
space.
not open space.
There's
It's
there's open
developable.
space requirements that you would have on there as well. I didn't put those into the calculation, but there would be, the open space would come off as well, whether it's 10%, 50%.
Say that tree stands could
Whatever.
be considered open space.
They very well could.
You just wouldn't want to double count it, right?
Right.
If you're giving them a credit, you also would.
If you're giving them a credit, then it depends. Because if I had the lot now and like what we want to do is try to make sure that they don't cut the trees down before they come
Right.
to us. So we want to incentivize them somehow. Like you can't just say, we're gonna let you subtract off the trees, subtract off 1 for 1 and say the acreage that has trees on it, we're gonna give you credit. We're gonna give you 3 acres, for those.
I think you're gonna make it more difficult than if we just tell them that significant tree stands are legitimate portions of open space, required open
Right.
space.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe that is easy. Maybe that's the easiest way. But what I was trying to do is figure out a way
Well,
to put that into their calculation. And so this second, that with the tree preservation credit, 50 acres minus the 5 undevelopable gives them 40, plus you give them, like, they were gonna protect the 3 acres of trees that's there, so give them 3 acres more. And now that makes the total acreage that you're gonna base the calculation on is 48 acres, not 45 acres. So now 3 units per net acreage plus the tree preservation credit is 144 total units versus 135. So they get 42 actual acres developed. So their effective density is 3.4 versus 3. So they get 42.
okay, I'm trying to,
You're making it a
You
whole
get,
lot
you get,
harder.
well, maybe, but they get more the net balance is they get more units. And we get to protect the trees. So there's a slightly higher density, so they get like 7 or 8 more units. But we get to protect the trees, but.
okay, I'm thinking back to your example, I'm trying to carry that forward. Okay, so you got 50 acres. I'm gonna give them 3 acres credit, so now it's 48 acres as the gross acreage. Well, then it's, which one do you apply the whatever
The density
uh,
calculation.
whatever the required designation is, depending upon what it is, but let's say it's 20, like MU, would be 20%, has to be open space.
Okay.
So is the 20% going to be calculated times the original 50, or is the 20% going to be calculated times 48?
I think it'd be times the original 50.
I
Okay,
thought
so
open space was always based on the original.
That's the.
yeah, well, that's, but
Say
I'm
three
trying to
million.
get at what then, okay, the advantage, where's the advantage coming in for, okay, so they got credit for 3, but then they're gonna also then put those 3 acres in the
Yeah.
20% set aside. So they're getting double use of it.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Just because they're putting it in open space, they get to get 3, you're saying 3 more units per acre or 7 more units per acre, whatever it is.
7 total units for the whole development.
Yeah. Why would we want to give them that if they could just set that 3 acres aside as part of the set aside for the open space already? And why give them a double credit? Because they didn't cut them down?
That's assuming they already have to have open space.
They have to have
Do we-
20% open space
Do-
in an MU.
Do all of our articles require a percentage of open space?
The overlay,
Or it
No.
all blurs together.
the overlay district.
The overlay districts,
The conservation, the cluster conservation, I think is, I want to say that's
50.
50.
that's 50.
50%.
Yeah, I do
Cluster.
remember that one.
50.
That's 50. It's much higher in
Okay.
those conservation districts.
That doesn't change the number of units that you can build. You just can't build them all over all over the parcel. You have to cluster them.
Mhm.
Right.
So you still get your 150 or whatever. Less, less whatever the net developable acreage is.
Yeah, so
I don't have a clear idea yet of how that incentive or no incentive. I mean, if somebody looks at a parcel and says,
If the
For
3
students,
acres
then-
were in addition to the 20% set aside, but it could be, all right, yeah, they've got 3 acres and they're gonna not cut down the trees. And we're gonna call that open space. Well, that's where you were going to use it for that anyway. So we're just giving you an extra credit because you had trees on your property.
well, and it all depends on what we're trying to place the value on. Are we trying to place the value, like they could cut them down and still, and
It's
the
open
area
space.
still could be kind of a not a very good buildable area anyway, but they could clear cut and cut all the trees down and then the stumps would be there they wouldn't have stumps there, but it would be kind of a trashy area anyway that they could still say is open space. But now it just doesn't have trees on it. And
Well, it could, but they're going to have to landscape it
But-
somehow. And that might mean
And they
planted
gotta bring
trees.
it, they gotta have to bring in a plan to get the plan approved in terms of what the open space is, a designated, identify where it is. A description of the open space. I,
But we're trying to prevent somebody cutting down the trees before they even come to us with a plan. This is way before we even hear about it. They
so,
just,
so the thinking is, whatever we end up doing, whether we say, keep the trees and it goes against your open space credit, or we're gonna incentivize you even more to keep the trees by giving you a little bit more density, slightly more density, so you get more units out of your property. Whatever we choose, I think what we want to do is come up with a couple different scenarios and probably go look at those properties where the zoning is, or where the sewers are gonna come first.
Yeah.
And see what sort of significant tree stands we have that would fit, that would be something that we'd want to protect.
So
And
we're-
probably talk with them and say, here's kind of,
what would your preference be?
yeah, here's
And-
kind of what
and-
we're
and
thinking.
where I see your plan is if they already have the 20% set aside for open space, and they still have tree stands,
Possibly,
more than that.
Yeah.
And so to prevent them from cutting down those excess trees, you want to give them some kind of credit. But
right,
that's got to be over and above the 20%. I think maybe the way the math works,
right.
that if they don't cut down those trees and it gives them more than 20% open space, they've got the minimum, but they'll also be able to squeeze more units into a slightly smaller.
By protecting the rest of that.
Yeah,
well, then, so you're actually
Like that.
increasing the amount, potentially increasing the amount of open space.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I wasn't getting that from what he said originally.
Well, I wasn't getting it yet either, because I wasn't thinking beyond the 20%. But there could be some lots that have that. That have more
But
than
your
20%.
example does give you
there.
extra, gives you 3 more acres.
What's that?
Your example does give you 3 more acres.
Yeah.
So your example it was over and
Well,
above.
Only
My
if that's
examples
not
didn't include, my examples didn't include any
Open
any
space.
open space
Open
requirement.
space.
I was just assuming open space would
This,
take care of it.
this was just an example
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the credit.
Yeah.
It didn't match what the current zoning is. Yeah.
I'd
Right.
be interested in the credit if it's over and above the requirement. So if the requirement was 50, they set aside 50, but then had more than 50% of trees, they could set aside, say, another 10%. And then maybe they get more density in the remaining 40% of the lot. So only if it gives the lot more open space as a whole,
Well, not just open space, but
you know,
space trees.
tree
Open
space, you know,
with trees.
non-built on space, if you will, where the natural resources are preserved.
You can get 50% open space, but if you, and then you have a certain amount of density that you're gonna get. But if you do 50% open space plus another, it turns out you have another 5% because you're gonna set aside these trees in addition, then you can get a bonus density for doing that. But so you're really going above the minimum requirement of the amount of open space.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Right.
that, I don't know how to make that work, but now I see that would make more sense, I think.
I think so, yeah.
So I think we would just have to look at a couple different of the properties in question, see what they have, see how this would apply to some of those lots. Measure out the tree stands and see how big, what we're talking about.
And maybe start with the conservancy, because that's got the most detailed information.
Mhm.
And see if he could have gotten a bonus by protecting
Conservancy.
the one of course such a model. I don't know if it's got.
The one that canceled their rezone.
Oh, the one that Joe
I have.
presented to us?
My office potentially may have a copy of it too in the files. But that would be where I would start there, because you got the most detail, you got all of Joe Place's maps of steep slopes, water courses, wetlands, and tree stands, and then you've got the high tension power lines. So there's a lot of open space, and whether you could stretch that into more than 50%.
You're talking about a specific property?
the conservancy property.
But still, it comes back
Oh,
down
down
to
here. Yeah.
what is our definition of a significant tree stand?
We don't have the
It can't just,
definition yet.
yeah, it can't just be some random trees here and there.
Yeah.
So I'll bring some examples to the next meeting.
Okay.
Some.
Okay, the,
Something to chew on.
and the,
So let me know.
sounds good.
Yeah, probably will.
The other, other item under new business is the, priority chart, if you will. Well, it's not a priority. It's just a listing of the, of the tasks, action items
yeah.
that came out of the recommendation from the, steering committee that you went through and identified.
Yeah, I pulled out the ones
And-
that had our name next to them.
Beg your pardon?
I said, I pulled out all the ones that had. our
Yeah,
name.
that's right. That's right. I understood that.
They're not-
So these are the zoning ones,
Yeah, yeah,
zoning committee.
right. Just the ones for us.
Now, as I looked at them and I'm thinking about, what's happening, particularly after this situation with, happening down here with the Miller property, the overlay districts may be the priority for us to pay some attention to. Simply because if, once somebody submitted an application, if we're changing something in the overlay district, it won't apply to that person because they've already got the application in. It'd be under what we have on the books at that point in time. So if we're going to look at priorities, it seems like the ones that we probably should focus on first will be the ones that relate to the overlay districts. And rather than trying to do it piecemeal, seems like maybe the logical approach me would be to try to do it so that once we go in and we open up an overlay district for review or modification, that we make all the changes that we're going to be, that we want to make in that overlay district at that time, rather than doing a piece of it, then coming back 2 months or 3 months later and doing another piece. So, as I looked at these, I was identifying these, which ones would relate to the overlay districts as the ones then that we would maybe target first.
Which ones?
Well, going down, the first one you would come to would be ID number 4 there. It says update overlay districts to align with evolving conditions. I'm not exactly sure what that's going to mean. Add additional housing types to the existing CRCD. They've identified a specific one there to be potentially look at. Do we want to consider that? And then the update the legislative plan unit development standards within the township zoning code. Well, again, this is going to the overlay districts are critical in that regard. I think that to what extent do we want to look at agritourism in the overlay districts? The lighting standards that are within the overlay district may become a way for us to look at developing lighting standards that are going to be applicable across the board, as opposed to just being in the overlay districts. Because right now, our lighting standards outside of the overlay districts are very limited.
Very limited.
Go back and we take a look at that. And then diversify the housing options. That would be, take a look at the overlay districts. Are they diverse enough the way they are? Or do there need to be some changes in there? And we've been talking about net developable acres to some extent. Do we need to redefine net developable acres? Well, we've got a definition and we've decided that we wanted to change what we have in the 4 overlays because there's a second definition that is in those compared to the one that we have in our definition section. Oh, well, we've been talking about the trees. That last item, I don't know that that necessarily goes into the overlays, but maybe it does.
Hmm.
So the other thing though, the recommendation is that we update the master plan. Is the recommendations that have come from the steering committee that are title on that seems now it says strategic plan.
It is a strategic plan.
As a strategic plan, does that mean it also then is going to become the master plan or the comprehensive plan for the township?
Separate.
They're separate?
There's a strategic plan, a comprehensive plan, and a master plan. Those are all separate things.
Because
No, the
when-
comprehensive plan, and the master plan are the same thing, just terminology referring to those, depends upon,
But they.
I guess.
Different from the strategic plan.
But when Holly did the quick strategy guide, it became an addendum
To
part of the master plan.
master plan.
And I don't know if the intention is to use the steering committee's plan the same way as making an addendum or make it override what already
At
what
the
exists.
last trustee meeting, they proposed having the zoning commission undertake a comprehensive plan.
Well, they also, though, have listed that they're potentially going to hire a consultant to do that. That's going to be discussed at Thursday meeting.
Yeah.
So to some extent, what happens with regard to looking forward to the master plan and how that's going to be managed will also be having an impact on us. But I just saw, when I looked at your list, that there were a lot of items that, to me, related to the overlay districts, and the overlay districts become a priority for me because we're going to be having developers coming in wanting to use those. We've got one right now. That's it's a small one, but then the fire chief mentioned that somebody has, Mike, you may know more about it. He mentioned 500 acres.
Yeah, it's not in our township. It's on our border down there. South of Fancher, obviously, right around Green Cook, that area in there, they're buying up a lot of spot properties around there. They're not going for the more expensive houses. They're buying up a lot of the older houses down around there, but they got 400 acres. Chief said that he had a request from somebody on those 400 and 500 acres, finding out if there was any kind of issue that came through the fire department. I haven't gotten anything. Usually I'll get something from them asking if there's been any violations or anything like that in it, but I have not gotten anything on that yet.
But this is in Franklin County.
Okay.
This is Franklin County.
Yeah. But it's right up to our border. It's right up.
There's none of that property that,
Actually, there's a couple of them that show on Fancher, so those would be us,
okay.
On the north side,
south side of Fancher.
All right.
So if it's just south of Harlem Township, or they potentially then will be looking, or somebody's going to be looking without a doubt then at Harlem Township
That would
in
make sense.
relationship to that. It'd be a logical thing to happen. And what would they be looking at? They'd be looking at either MU or clustered home, probably, or clustered residential,
Depending on what they're going to use it for.
because they would be looking for more density.
Is
Chances.
sewer there yet?
But that's in the New Albany School District.
Yes.
I thought they were discouraging residential
I
development.
don't think that I don't know a lot about it, but from what Chief was talking about, it looks like they might be looking at something for maybe not residential.
Is that part of the 62 changes?
Well, I mean, you're talking about 62.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's right there.
Yeah.
And there's always been talk about they're going to Walmart here. Then you've got that little piece in Harlem Township that's cleaning and regulating the natural gas that's going to go somewhere. So maybe they're looking for a way to get that pipeline through to other things over here. Could be,
Because that pipeline was going to Intel, or still is.
it was going to go, I was told that was going to go over into
What was wrong?
that side of county line, that there were things over there that were happening. Maybe a natural gas powered electric plant. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding was the filtration unit is on Evans Road in the township. But the-
No. This is not, it's not the same thing. It came out about middle of last year. They bought that property, right across from Mount Harlem. There was there was a property there. I can't remember the name of the owner. It was a big 40 some acre property, and there's a house cut out right in the middle of it. But anyway,
okay, I think that's
you and I
where Ja-
walked that.
That's where
as
Jackie.
potential build.
Yeah, Jackie.
Well, that got sold to somebody that has a natural gas, and they're gonna take probably about 1 to 2 acres of that in the middle of it, and they're gonna have a natural gas filtering and dispensing station.
Okay, so that's a new one besides the one on Evans.
Yes, in fact, they went to, it's already been through the siting board.
And the township has no say. That's not,
Nope, they were just giving me a heads up that they were gonna do it, and I asked them what it was for, and they said, we can't tell you who it is, can't tell you what it's for, and I said, well, let me throw a hypothetical out there to you. I said, could that possibly support a gas-powered electric plant? He goes, possibly.
so that would run a data center.
I still want to put data centers down as not permitted in the township. And I know you
Somebody
guys-
just did that.
a lot of townships have
It-
banned. data
Yeah, there's a
And I-
moratorium.
And I was told, the rest of you guys said, well, if it's not listed as permitted, then it's not permitted. But I don't think that's good enough anymore. I think it needs to be called out as a not permitted use.
Yeah, if we want to make sure that it's not ambiguous, yeah, put it in there.
So I would still like to have that put in. You know, it's not on
Yeah,
our
vertical.
agenda.
Articles, is that all of them? All, mhm.
Get the lighting standards in place.
Thank
too,
you.
because those data centers over there light up the night sky.
Yeah.
They're awful.
Well, getting back to the focus in terms of where we go with the priorities and what we do first, because there's a lot of recommendations that are coming our way. You know, the two things that stand out for me are looking at whatever is going to be happening with the quote master plan, comprehensive plan that we're going to be quote required to address, and then looking at the overlay districts as opposed to some of the other issues. Because the overlay districts are the ones that if we want to make any changes, we need to get those in place before a developer wants to start using it. Or certainly at least before they've submitted an application, because they'll be submitting an application based on what we've got.
Yeah, and the closer the sewer gets, the more of a chance they're gonna come in, because we do have a lot of developers that own a lot of property in this township.
Yes.
They're just waiting on a sewer, and they're not gonna wait till the sewer's there. They're gonna start it just like Russ is. They're
Right.
gonna start it.
So that's why I see those as kind of a priority over other revisions in terms of anything that we might be looking at in the zoning resolution.
But isn't it more than just the zoning district, more than just the overlay districts? Like the lighting standards and diversified housing options, like that could go in other, like planned residential units and or planned residential district, planned commercial, that could go in other zoning districts too, right? In addition to the overlay districts.
Yes, but if we're looking at it within an overlay and the language will be appropriate in the overlay, then potentially you can take that
Yeah,
language
and move it to other ones.
to move it elsewhere. That's the way I was looking at it. Not that we would immediately jump in and start working on another article of the zoning resolution, but if we, in the process of working on the overlay, identify that what we're working on here is going to work and fit in here also, yes, we can make that notation, identify it. We don't necessarily have to get into revising that article right then. If we complete the revisions in the overlay districts and get those in place, because they're the ones that are potentially going to be the first ones that the developers are coming in and going to be looking at.
I thoroughly agree. Can I ask what is the diversify statement?
Diversify housing options.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
I think what the action item says, permit housing types that support a multi-generational community, including accessory dwelling units, aging in place options, like, some of those smaller homes, like I don't know what you guys talked about in your.
They're called
meetings, but
accessory dwelling units. so
Accessory
that-
dwelling units,
they're-
like a tiny home that you would fit on a.
Or a garage with an apartment on it or something like that, where you could allow multi-generations. I mean, one of the things they talked about was allowing older people to have their children
On their same property.
on the same property so they can age in place mainly, because we have a lot of aging residents and stuff.
They can do that. Township as is.
Yeah. On everything.
Yeah, all they have to do is add something that I think you'd probably want to do for your aging parents, which is put a.
It has to be
covered walk-
attached now.
Covered walkway of,
Covered walkways, all this.
yeah, cause, yeah, and I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. I'm just,
Or if it's
you guys have a lot of
priority.
work ahead of you, and when, as soon as these developments come in, you guys are gonna get buried. You're all gonna get buried, and I think
Once we have an application that's coming in under an overlay district,
We can't change it.
It's too late.
it's going, we're gonna have several meetings that we will be dealing with just that one application.
Yeah, I think we can work with that. And anybody that calls me and is talking to me about something they can do for their aging parents, I'm not saying you can't, not saying I'm against what you're saying to do, but we have options that we can help them. You know, we're here to support our community. We're here to support our people in the township. So we can find ways to make things happen for them. And really, a lot of our stuff is there for the safety and the well-being of the residents of this township. What else did it say on the diversity there?
That was it. It was permit housing types that support multi-generational community, including accessory dwelling units and aging in place options. That was the.
If we feel like we
that was the
need to get
action
that
item.
in there, I have no problem.
Yeah, so I think then, having been on the steering committee, I think the fair thing to say back is the intent of this is already allowable in the current zoning.
Yes,
And I think if we could answer back some of those things and that you can kind of scratch that and say,
I agree.
yeah.
I agree with people don't understand. I didn't know that till I got in here.
And I think there's no explicit language about accessory dwelling units and things like that.
There's not, but there's also, there's another caveat there that you got to look at when people are looking at doing that, because a lot of them feel like they can do that and maybe put another house there, and then they think they can sell that off as two houses. And you really got to make it clear to them, because that is a big commitment to throw a house. I mean, unless you're doing it yourself, and even if you're doing it yourself, even a 1,200-foot, well, let's just say an 800-foot square little apartment out there is going to cost you quite a sizable amount.
Right.
And depending on what kind of a lot you put it on and what house you already currently live in, you may not get your money back out of that. Not that that's the whole guideline behind that, but on down the road, when your kids or somebody gets that house, they're going to have that same issue. And there's a lot of things they can look at doing that. We've had a couple of situations where I've talked to people, they've had a big enough property there, if they put it in the right spot and put that covered walkway on it, they could potentially down the road, when they want to, split that out and sell it as two separate houses. So there's a lot of counseling that can go on to help our residents, which
Yeah, but basically,
currently
you're,
do.
you're
Then,
right.
but,
There-
then also, once it's there, they may at some point down the road decide that, okay, I can rent that.
Yeah.
I don't have, my parent that was living there is deceased now. Now I'm gonna rent it. So I just advertise it for rent. So how do we deal with that?
Is that something that's undesirable?
that's something we don't.
Well, I don't know.
We
I'm
don't
not,
know.
I'm saying if it's desirable or not,
That's
but the
something we
question
don't-
is,
don't-
once you create it, once it's there, what do they, I mean,
Yeah.
depending upon the zoning.
It is,
Is
exactly. It is an
Is
expectation
leasing it permitted or not?
that people, they need to know that. Yeah, you're right, because I've had that specific come up. Yeah, I want to do this and I'm going to have it. So, and then I'm going to rent it later. Like, well, you can't do that. Yeah. It can be a mother-in-law suite. It can be a in-law suite, not a mother-in-law suite. It can be an in-law suite, but we do have some wording for bed and breakfast in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's bed and breakfasts are permitted.
Yes, but you can't just rent it out as an apartment.
Oh, I mean, but if you create an accessory dwelling, whether it be above a garage or as an attached with a covered walkway, then at some point down the road, the person, well,
It could be rented if an
Mhm.
accessory dwelling
Right.
unit.
And I
Yeah.
think that was one of the considerations.
do we want to create the opportunity for people to put an accessory dwelling on with the intent that they actually start out with the intent of renting it? I buy this properties because I want to have an income flow from an accessory building. I build an accessory dwelling, I'm going to rent it. And I have an
So it's
intention of having
basically-
a relative live
Yeah,
there.
so that's basically two residents on a single lot.
Yes.
Yes, it
We-
is.
which-
Well, but that's what we're saying
Yeah,
is one of the things that we should consider. Do we want to do it?
Diversify the housing option. That was the title of that recommendation.
And that is the discussion.
So it's pretty much focused around that.
Both things, of course, but definitely. And a lot of this comes from some direction from trustees of making things more affordable for people who already live in the township or might want to stay, who need additional income and things like
so
that.
I think everybody thinks of an accessory, an ADU as a,
Trailer.
you know, or an apartment above a garage or something. What's to stop somebody from putting in a duplex or a quadplex? And
And then you'd have-
suddenly you have a commercial, really a commercial structure there.
So you would have to have standards for that.
Oh, yeah. And there's where all the time consuming stuff comes. from.
Right, exactly.
Well, then you get,
Airbnbs.
where you get into,
Or you get into people renting out short-term rentals and then you get all kind of problems with sheriffs further away than some areas.
Airbnb?
Yeah.
So Mike, when I was putting these in here, I tried to organize them by things where I thought they would require updates to the zoning code. That's why this last column over here
Right.
is sorted so that these first ones are all kind of, we would deal with them during the application process. The second block where it says code update, those are going to be ones where we have to get into the code. Like you were saying, the overlay districts, we got to update the zoning.
Yeah.
Update the code for those.
And I was identifying the overlay districts as, for me,
Yeah.
seeming to be the priority.
Right. Yeah.
Over the other kinds
Yeah,
of things.
these were just sorted alphabetically. I agree with you. I think the code.
Yeah,
the code updates are the ones I think we're gonna have to do
Right.
first. Because those are the ones that are gonna hit us first.
Yes, they are. And and I'm concerned about the overlay districts only because I'm anticipating with the developers, if we're going to make changes in those overlay districts, we need to get those changes made as quickly as possible. Because of the potential for development down the road.
Right.
And if it takes us, if we're a year in accomplishing that, then we're getting close to the point where, I mean, we're gonna know where the sewer's going to be and they may even have started construction on a year from now. I don't know.
So the way I understood the last trustee meeting, when they said or one of the meetings where they said that we're gonna need to update our comprehensive plan.
Right, they,
It's my understanding that the comprehensive plan, that's the instrument that's up on the planning commission's website, comprehensive land use plan. That's the comprehensive land use plan is the one that we adopt with,
2021.
yeah, whenever.
This one.
yeah, because right now, when we look at a property in
Right.
terms of a zoning change, we're looking at it from the perspective, is it in or not compliance, but is it in conformance with
With the
the
comprehensive.
comprehensive plan? And what we have currently as a comprehensive plan it doesn't match
Correct.
what is in the recommendations that are coming from the strategic plan, the steering committee.
Right. So to your question, the quick strategy guide is meant to be an addendum to the comprehensive plan. So by referencing what's in the quick strategy guide, we can still say that it's in conformance with the comprehensive plan.
That's all part
Because
of it,
that's part
yes.
of it.
It's not separate.
Okay, so then.
Some of the recommendations, like that might be coming in terms of the new recommendations coming out of the strategic plan, the revised strategic plan. Well, I guess the other one wasn't called strategic plan, it was called
Quick strategy.
an addendum to the comprehensive plan. But if we're going to adopt that, then the master plan or the comprehensive plan needs to be revised to reflect whatever changes that we want.
And is it as simple as updating the updating the geographic areas within the comprehensive land use plan to include the new overlay or the.
Well,
updated
no,
overlay
there have to be
district
some wording changes in
and
there too.
Wording that goes along with it.
Yeah, if you start looking at the language that's in the current comprehensive plan. Some of the language fits nicely, but then there are places where it doesn't.
The question would be how much, I know there's a lot of stuff in the latest strategic plan that is not land use. Right? It's economic development, the chapters that don't apply to land use. We don't really, that's not applicable for the comprehensive plan. So we pull out the land use portion of the latest strategic plan, and that is what we would use to update the comprehensive plan.
I'm not sure I think even economic development has land use impact.
Well,
Well,
not the way that. it's
there's a
written.
lot of information.
It's
in
the way
it.
that it's
You
written.
you want,
Here's the
Project ready.
comprehensive plan right here. You got it
yeah,
all.
you want project ready sites. That's land use. And that's what the economic development is asking for.
I'd have to go back and look at the policy, see what it says.
I mean, I think it's misguided, but
Well, and then where does the quote consultant that they're looking at hiring to do the master plan, how's that fit into what we're talking about?
I mean, go back and look at, I mean, how long did it take us to do the 2020 master plan?
A year?
More than that with, and who?
Well, it was more like 18 months.
And what was his?
Year and a
name?
half.
Jonathan Miller, right? He was a consultant, so he did a lot of the legwork. He did a lot of the writing. He just brought us whole chapters
Mhm.
that we dug into. Is that what a consultant's gonna do? Gonna bring us, here's this chapter?
I assume that that's probably but I don't know.
I don't know either.
And I don't know who that consultant's gonna be. But that's another one of the things that's on if you're not planning,
Thursday,
if you
yeah.
hadn't planned yet, but plan to go to the meeting Thursday. I mean, I'm not saying we're gonna have a meeting, we're not gonna discuss anything at the meeting, but if we're all there, that's not a violation of any kind. We just can't talk about it while we're there. We can't have a meeting about it until afterwards. We can have a meeting on Monday about it.
We will.
Yes, we will. So plan on being there Thursday, 6:30. All right. Going on to old business. Back to Louis again. He's going to bring us maybe the flow chart, but there weren't that many changes.
No, it was just some cleanup, some
Yeah.
administrative cleanup.
And you were doing something to make it stand out more as to that people needed to follow the row across.
Right.
And then the other item was the revision inside each of the 4 overlay districts, where we deleted the definitions within the article for net developable acre and made reference back to the net developable acreage as defined in Article 4, Section 4.01. Right now, that would just make reference back to that. I made no attempt to look at that language and make any changes in the definition. That's not part
Right.
of what I was charged to do.
Right.
So we would have to look at the definition and see if we want to make any changes in it. This would simply bring
Refer people back.
everything into consistency here in terms of having one definition.
Yes.
And
Good.
I think we pretty well agreed that was the best way to handle it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have one definition in the definition section, refer to it in each overlay.
Yes.
And I checked this with Scott, and he said, yes, it makes sense to change it this way and have one definition instead of the way that it currently is set up,
Okay.
where it can become confusing.
Right.
And do you want to make an application for an amendment? for next
Well,
meeting?
that's the question. I don't know whether we do or not. Do we want to do this on an immediate basis? Or do we in fact want to wait and make all the change or start working on the changes that we're going to do in within the overlay district and bring all those about at one time. Because
Those are gonna take a long time to do, I think. Um. My preference would be to get something done and over with. And then that can be set aside and we can just jump right into the overlays.
I agree. I agree. I think this definition is very contentious and we should nail it down and have it in place and then work on the rest of the comprehensive plan.
Do you think the definition in Article 4 is contentious? Or you were saying that the way it was before with these different definitions?
I think net developable acre in general is a contentious definition. It's that people don't want to use it and people who do want to use it have different ideas about how it should be used.
So you don't like what we now have in Article 4?
I have an issue with one part of it, not really a major issue. But I think most of it I think is fine.
I mean, if we're gonna say, you know,
well,
follow the net developable acreage defined in Article 4.
Yeah, then we got to go. Next thing is to go back to Article 4 and read it. And that's what I did.
yeah, well, I guess what I'm hearing tell me if I'm hearing this, for sure. That, okay, so if we go this route, we would make this change. What I hear from, Joni, we'd make this change in the 4 articles, the 4 overlay districts. And then we would also, listening to what you're suggesting, Tom, there'd be a need to revise the net developable acre definition at the same time.
Yes. That would be
And that would be the only task that we would take on immediately.
that's it. That would be the first
That'd be the first thing, get that done, and then
move on.
come back to deal with the recommendations coming out of the steering committee
And
at a later time.
and Thursday's meeting, the direction we get on Thursday.
Yeah, we might get direction there that'll clarify that, whatever that might be, correct.
They haven't accepted that yet.
Right.
The trustees haven't accepted the strategic plan.
No, that's supposed to happen,
Thursday.
uh,
Oh, you think it's just a maybe?
I don't know.
I got the impression it was.
I got the impression it was gonna happen, but I could be wrong. But as far as your committee is concerned, you're not, unless they give you a redirect, you're not going back to work on it anymore.
You're done.
correct?
So if we can get that finished, that's item number 6 on our list,
Okay.
is to evaluate the
Net
current
net
definition of
developable
net
acre,
develop-
yeah.
and to avoid.
That would be on the list. You're right. It is on the list.
Yeah. First one.
We could check one off. Okay, so that'll be our priority then, depending upon whether we get reset priorities coming from the meeting on Thursday.
So you'll put that on the agenda for the workshop meeting.
Yes,
Alright.
that we will start looking at net developable acres.
So let me real quick, there are five items in the definition. Jurisdictional wetlands as defined by the Army Corps of Engineers, no problem. Floodplains defined by FEMA, no problem. Slopes greater than 20%. Shown by Delaware County Regional Planning Commission, comprehensive land use plan, no problem. The existing bodies of water, no problem. The fourth one, utility rights of way and easements, says for above ground and currently existing utility structures. And I'm wondering about underground pipeline. You can't build above an underground pipeline.
No, you
You
cannot.
can't even build close to one. And this definition specifically says above ground.
It was still above ground. That
So
was extended
I
to-
would make that change and maybe none others, but that one stuck out.
I feel like you could just remove the
Yeah,
words above
good point.
ground.
Would we just say all utility easements?
Well, utility rights of way and easements, just get rid of above ground.
Yeah.
And then it's a little bit more general.
Oh, it says above ground twice. It says overhead electric transmission, which is fine, but it's not, as an example. But it's not the only utility right of way. We have water, sewer, natural gas, electric. God knows what else.
Storm?
Yeah,
Image.
those
Get rid of
those are all-
above ground.
Did
and
they-
overhead.
And drainage.
You didn't by chance take a look at net developable acres to see if it was defined in any other zoning resolutions in Delaware County, did you? And I haven't either. Because that was not something that I'd progressed to. But if that's the direction that we're gonna go in terms of a priority, we can take a look at that.
Do you want me to look for that while I'm doing the barn definition? While I'm
Sure.
looking for other barn definitions?
Sure.
Um,
And
Look for surrounding net developable acreage definitions.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Sure. That would be a good way to do it. And the other thing then that I can also do, since we're moving in this direction, is I will go ahead and contact Scott Sanders and ask him, do you have an updated definition for net developable area? And if so, submit that to me.
Well, there are only a couple of townships in Delaware County that deal with net developable acres, aren't there?
Oh, I thought they all did for the
They all-
most part.
10 out of 18
Oh,
townships have that in their code somewhere. Right.
yeah, I think what they don't have is net acreage.
They don't have net acreage.
okay,
As
but
a
no-
separate,
Mhm.
as a way of calculating what's buildable.
Yeah,
okay, but they all define what a net developable area.
I think that there's a lot. And you say 10, I didn't know how many there were, but
I counted them up.
Okay.
And they're all around us. They're all the more rural, like the closer you get to Delaware,
yeah.
they don't have it.
Yeah.
There's nothing left.
At least then by asking Scott if there's been any changes in that, hopefully he'll be aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll get that from him before our meeting next Monday. Or make the request. I don't know if I'll get it, but I'll certainly make the request. I'll make the request tomorrow. All right. And we're in agreement in terms of the changes then that I proposed here. It's simple.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that's.
All right. Public input or questions? Anyone out there online have a comment?
We even look Bob.
Even Bob left?
Worry about.
You know what that means. Oh.
Well, it's
Time to
9:30,
adjourn.
getting close to the witching hour. We've been doing good about getting finished a little bit earlier than we were for a long time. All right.
The only thing I would mention here is in the net developable acres stuff is that, in the individual, when we had them under individual ones,
Uh-huh.
we included things that, like the significant tree stands.
Yeah.
Which are not in our actual.
Right. Well,
We already
significant
talked
tree
about
stands, I
that.
thought we had that discussion that
Yeah.
it was a good thing to take out. Not have that in
I
at
didn't
all.
want them to proactively go out and cut them down.
Okay. But it looks like the other things were in there, like the slopes.
Yeah. And the wetlands and floodplains. Yeah.
But did I misinterpret that? Because I thought from our discussion
No.
last time, we wanted to take tree stands out. Okay.
You do.
All right, very
That was
good.
the only thing that was different.
And then this will then be consistent because that's the way it's worded in, actually, there's no reference to it in the PRCD, Planned Residential Conservation District. It just talks about net developable acres. The definition is here, so didn't have to go in and make changes in that section. Any other thing that we need to discuss this evening? If not, a motion to adjourn is appropriate now.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Is that you?
Tom
All right.
seconded.
Moved by Brittany, seconded by Tom as to an adjournment at 9:35. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Ready? Opposed, no. We are adjourned.